The following is a message from the Honorable McKeeva Bush, leader of the United Democratic Party.
Fellow Caymanians and residents, today I would like to speak briefly about the financial crisis that the PPM government is in and some concerns that I have in this regard. In February 2008, I brought a private member's motion calling on the government to reconsider and reduce its levels of capital spending and borrowing in light of concerns a global and U.S. economic slowdown would reduce government revenues here. Mr. Tibbetts, leader of the PPM, rejected my motion and said, and I quote, "Not even on the kindest of mornings could the government accept this motion," end of quote. In other words, more than a year ago, when it was becoming clear that this country would be facing the crisis that we have here today, the leader of the government told me that he would not consider the measures that I proposed to ensure that the government did not overextend itself. And as recently as this week, Mr. Tibbetts is reported in the newspaper saying, and I quote, "No one simply knew that 9 months into the fiscal year, this is exactly the situation we would be in. No one knew that," end of quote. Anyone that tries to tell you that, especially from the opposite side, is not being truthful, he said. Mr. Tibbetts must now come clean. He must begin to tell the truth. Clearly, based on the official records in the legislature, from more than a year ago, Mr. Tibbetts appeared to be in denial, or should I say he is being economic with the truth in good PPM style. The truth is that the United Democratic Party recommended measures to help deal with the economic crisis more than a year ago, and the PPM ignored them as they did everyone else. During this general election campaign, the PPM will try to suggest that the UDP does not have any solutions, but on the contrary, the United Democratic Party has demonstrated leadership on policy issues. Long before the PPM cut customs duties, it was the UDP that suggested that measure. Long before the PPM decided to try to control their government spending, it was the United Democratic Party that made that proposal. And in 2005, as a direct result of the policies of the UDP, the country was prospering, people were employed, and the government had over $90 million left in its accounts, instead of being in serious debt and facing a deficit. Effective leadership is what this country now needs. And in a time of serious economic crisis, economic leadership is vital to our survival. In this state of affairs, we, the party, will also need to work together, all of us, whether within the government or in the private sector, to ensure that the record levels of debt and financial mismanagement caused by the PPM and Mr. Tibbetts does not severely hamper our economy in the long term. I give you my sincerest commitment that if the UDP is elected on May 20th, we will work towards fixing the current financial crisis in the government and putting the Cayman Islands economy back on track for success. Remember, we have faced challenging times before, and together we can work to rebuild this great country once again. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you kindly for listening, and may the good Lord bless these beloved Cayman Islands and your individual families. God bless.
This has been a message from the Honorable McKeeva Bush, leader of the United Democratic Party.